Hello, Olathe West. Welcome to another exciting day of ACT prep. Today, we will be doing the first 23 questions from a recent ACT exam. There are some materials you will need. Well, definitely need a graphing calculator. Again, they're allowed on the ACT for the math section, so you should become familiar with it. You'll need a pen or a pencil. And you'll also need to download the questions from our Google Drive. Let me show you how to do that very quickly. Well, you've already accessed this video, so you are definitely on our YouTube channel. Make sure you've subscribed to it so you get all the info you need. But if you look right here, it says click here for ACT materials. Click there, go to mathematics, and then ACT math number 4. That's the one you want to do. And again, you want to work these out on paper. So I don't know if you want to have them going here, if you want to save them onto your computer screen and do a split screen so you can see it, or if you're working with some friends together and one person has the computer up, the other person has me up with the timer, because I'm going to be running a timer on this. We should note on the math section, it is 60 questions in 60 minutes. So you might think that's a minute a question. Well, the first 20, we should try to get done with those on average, in 15 minutes, not 20 minutes. We want to practice that pace. That way we can save some time for the more difficult questions at the end. But the thing to remember is all these questions are worth the same amount of points, whether it's a very, very easy one or a very, very difficult one. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. You all go ahead and download those materials while I get myself set. Okay, so again, you should have downloaded the questions, right? So you've got them. We're going to be working through the first 23 questions of this ACT test. It's from 2016. To remind you of a couple things, they do say that things are not necessarily drawn to scale, but they definitely are, okay? So use that to your advantage. You can use a calculator on every single thing. I'm going to give you, I think, 18 minutes on this. And my timer. Is right here. All right. You may begin. Okay, we're at minute 23 left. All right, I'm going to call it time right here. I'm not sure how long we've been frozen for here. Okay, let's go through all of these questions here. First question, actually, let me just screen bigger. Okay, first question is saying absolute value. Right now, the thing you need to do is eliminate all the bad answers, okay? We know absolute values give us positive numbers. So please eliminate A and B. That way you will not be stuck selecting a wrong answer. Now, if X is a 9, right, we're going to have the absolute value of -4, which is +4. Question number 2, reading along here with the perimeter of the rectangle, please draw the picture. See the word rectangle? So I'm going to draw a rectangle. They tell us the length is 12 feet. The width is half. So the width must be 6. And they're asking for the perimeter in feet, and they're told in feet. So we just add up all 4 numbers here, and we end up with J36. You do want to pay attention to units. Sometimes the ACT has been known to go from feet to yards. Number 3, be careful with this. These letters are not lined up correctly. Notice M, N, and then they're changing it N and then an M. So what I would do is I would do the M's first. We have 9M subtracting a 5M. Well, 9M minus 5M is 4M, which tells me it's one of the first 2 choices. Again, elimination gets us pretty quick here. And then we have -4n, and a -2n would be a -6n. Number 4, which of the following numbers is greatest? Well, 0.3 repeating means 0.333. It's going to keep going forever. Well, shoot, that's going to be the biggest answer. Question number 4. Question number 5 deals with recycling and cans. So as I was reading the question, I jotted down some answers, some information I thought that was important. And the thing is, Joanne, for some reason, doesn't remember how many plastic bottles she brought in. She did get $1.60 though, so she should remember, but she doesn't. So here's what we do. We're going to take the $1.60 and we're going to subtract the 6 cans that she returned. We got $0.05, right? A nickel per can. We're also going to subtract the 8 glass bottles that she had. Now, when we do that, we wind up with 0.50, right? 50 cents. Well, if every plastic bottle is a nickel, right? I would just take 0.50 and divide by we take 0.50 divided by 0.05, and we will wind up with letter C. Now, use your calculator on this. You do get to use your calculator on every question, so use it to your advantage, okay? Seriously. There's no need to try to do all this stuff in your head if you can use your calculator. Number 6 says, blah, 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 blah. On the first day, the noon temperature was -4 degrees Celsius. On the 4th day, the noon temperature was 12 degrees Celsius. What was the change in temperature from the 1st to the 4th day? I think the temperature went up, don't you? So I'm going to get rid of these negatives because that means the temperature went down. Well, how much did it go up? How far is it from -4 to 12? Well, we could just do -4 plus 12, and we would, I'm sorry, don't do that. We have -4 in a number line. I could, do a little number talk here and say it's 4 degrees to 0. And then to get to 12 degrees, it's another 12. Together, that is 16, right? Letter K. Or I could think about it being 12, the final. I could think of the words final minus initial, if you're one of those people. So 12 minus a -4 would give us 16 also. Lots of representations here. Number 7, one of the techniques you do want to do on the ACT is to glance at the answers. And if I look at this one, I'm noticing they're just all equations. They're saying, which of the following expressions gives Selena's pay for the hour she is scheduled to work? Well, it says she is paid $75 and then plus 25% of her weekly sales. So she's paid 75. So that means we're going to be adding 75. So no, no, and no, right? That's 0.75. It's either A or D. Well, remember, 25% needs to be converted to a decimal, so 0.25, letter A. All right, number 8, it's matrices, and many of you have not seen them yet. On an ACT test, we'll see maybe one matrix question. It's asking which of these would be the setup. These are called augmented matrices. So here's the deal. Whenever you're going to transform a matrix, a system of equations into a matrix, you kind of enter into a covenant. And what you say is the first column will be all the x's, the second column will be the y's, and the third column will be the constants. So it's got to look for where these match up. So 20 and a 9, right? 29, 29, 20. Oh, can't be F. X is 3 and then a 2. Nope. Okay, so it's down to these ones. The Y's, 5 and then a -1. Because remember, there's an invisible 1 there. Letter G. Okay, that's not too bad though. And that's the one matrix question this test had. It's really not that bad. Matrices are probably one of the most useful things you will learn in your math career. Okay, question number 9, just function notation, right? Here's function G. What's the answer when the input is a -3? So I'm just going to go ahead and change the x's to -3s. Notice I'm using parentheses. So you have two options here. I would recommend typing it into the calculator with the parentheses. You will get the right answer. But we do like to do the math here also, right? Well, we'll do the power first. -3 to the, boy, let's do a +2 power, isn't it? Bad typo, that's a +2, my mistake. -3 to the second means -3 times -3, which is 9. -3 times -3, we just said was 9. Now we'll multiply. You can see we still get 31. The mistake is, well, people forgetting to put parentheses around here because, and then they decide to use their calculator. If you type this in your calculator, you're going to get a -9. If you type this in your calculator, you will get +9, right? Because this bottom part means -3 times another -3. Whereas what we wrote up here, it means do 3 times 3, then make it negative. Not the same thing. Also, some people go ahead and do 2 times -3 first. They forget to do exponents first. Typing it in the calculator, it avoids all those types of problems. Okay, question number 10. We need to find out this. Now, here's another tip for you to make you go faster. If you see a question mark in the diagram, that's what they want to know. You don't have to read any of this stuff. They want to know what that question mark is. Well, I can look at this and estimate that, you know what, that angle here is definitely going to be bigger than 45 degrees. How do I know that? Well, the corner of a piece of paper is 90 degrees. And if I were to, try to line this up somehow, and see what's going on there. I can see that this angle right here definitely goes more than halfway across, right? It's definitely more than 45 degrees. Just knowing that much gets us down to here. Estimation is a good skill. Now let's do some math here. If this is 103, well, this has to be 77. As the geometry students will tell you, it's a linear pair, though they might not remember the word. They make a straight line. We know that. It looks like it makes 180. It is 180. Same thing over here. This angle here has to be 48 degrees, right? And then there's a big thing in geometry that says all the angles in a triangle always equal 180 every time. So if I took 180 and subtracted the 48 and subtracted the 77, I would wind up with letter J, right? Because this is the triangle I'm looking at. Okay. Again, use the calculator to subtract those. Don't do it in your head. You'll make an error. All right. 11, I was kind of working them out while you all were doing your problems too. I left the keys at school. I kind of made a mistake here, which points out, don't erase your mistakes. Just cross them out and redo it. First of all, it's much faster. Secondly, I have found when students and myself erase things, we kind of repeat the same mistakes. If you cross them out, you'll see your error. You're not going to make that same mistake. See, I wasn't reading carefully enough. The question says, the total of all of her payments, including the down payment, was how much more than the car's purchase price? Well, it says she made a $2,000 payment and she made 48 payments of $225 each, right? So plus 48 times 225. This is how much money she made in payments. Now, don't fall for the halfway answer. Do you see it right here? Don't fall for that. ACT is hoping you do. And that way they can ding you and bring your score down. Don't fall for it. Question wants to know how much more than the car's purchase price. Well, if I subtract the price of the car, which was $10,400, I will get $2,400, which is letter B. All right. Okay, number 12. I know a lot of you love foiling and multiplying things out. Boy, let's go, there we go. But we don't have to multiply all these out all the way. We're trying to find the area of this, right? So isn't it like we're going to take this times this? So we're really doing x plus 2 times 2x minus 1. Now, I'm going to use my answers and eliminate as I go. So x times 2x is 2x squared, which allows me to get rid of the first two choices. Now, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So I can get rid of letter K, right? And now I'm down to either H or J. So I guess I do have to multiply everything out here. The inside's going to be 4x. The outside's going to be negative 1x, which gives me 3x. There are some people that like to multiply like this. It's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's called the box method, and it's kind of interesting that they're showing that here, asking you to find the area. And here we can see all the little pieces that I got when I did the FOIL, right? And there's the 2x squared. These two add up to be 3x, right? We did it right over here. And minus 2. So letter J. Okay. Some people think, Miss Wynn, you're not really supposed to use the calculator on the ACT for math. They say you can, but you don't need to. Well, this one, you kind of need to. They're giving you a formula. And T, right here, T is the number of years after January 1st. They want to know which of the following is closest. That's a big word here, closest to the population in 2013. Well, 2013 is 2 years after 2011. So this is what I'm going to type into the calculator. Calculator tells me this answer. I don't see it. I panic a bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, where's the answer at? And I'm like, oh, which is closest? Well, letter B is the one that's the closest. I know, math class, we're not used to doing that kind of thing, but we need to. Okay, number 14. which are defined graphs relate to different pieces here. The height, let's see here. I decided to do letter Roman numeral 2 first. The height of a plant growing at a constant rate. Well, this is going to be the plant because it's got a constant slope. Looks like it's a slope of 1, whereas these slopes are changing a lot. So A is Roman numeral 2, which means I can get rid of those ones. And just like that, I'm down to a 50-50. Here, the distance, so Roman numeral 3, the distance a car travels while increasing its velocity, right? Well, it's going to be going faster and faster and faster. So this would be Roman numeral 3. So graph C is Roman numeral 3. It's got to be letter G. I didn't do the first one because you knew that one, right? The height of an object falling towards the ground. Now that's this one. Okay, 15. 15 asks for which one of these gives the slope of least value. Now, please don't do the formula for slope. Do not do this. I'm sure a few people were because they saw these coordinates. Please don't do that. Least value. I think we would agree a line with a slope, like if I drew a line like this and I drew another line like this, I think the first line, its slope is definitely less steep, right, than this one. I would not want to hike up this mountain. This one I wouldn't want to either, but I'd pick it over here. Well, if I were to connect just these 2 points, I can't think of any 2 points on here that would be less steep than this. So DE is the less steep. Hopefully it's here. Yep. There it is. All right. Now, time for a little technique here. We're not going to do algebra to solve number 16. I'm sure some people did, and that's great. I'm glad you did. ACT really doesn't want you to do algebra. They want you to recognize patterns and go quickly. So it says Jamal earned these scores on projects. That's pretty good. Jamal's scores are going up. That's great. And the question is, what's the minimum score Jamal needs to earn on the 5th project? So the mean is at least 2 points higher than the mean of the first 4. That's a lot of wording. But the mean of the first 4, right? I used my calculator. I added them up and divided by 4. And that gave me a mean of 81. And what they want is, they don't know what Jamal's next project's going to be, but whatever it is, they want the mean to be 83. Now notice there's 5 scores now, right? So what I did was, I took my calculator and I guessed 83 first. I'm like, okay, let's see what 83 does. If I were to put an 83 in here, what would happen? Well, we got a score that was smaller than what we wanted. And what that meant was that 83 wasn't big enough. Well, if 83 is not big enough, neither is 81 or 80. So I tried a 91 instead. Well, 91 is the one that works. Okay, 17. Apologize for the copy on this. It was a little better on the ACT booklet that we had originally. Kind of a weird question. ACT ran, I think, 2 or 3 years where they had a question just like this on their test. Well, if we glance at the answers, we'll notice there's fractions here. Well, what fraction is shaded? Well, I noticed that there were 9 squares shaded out of going 10 across. So I'd say 9/10 is what's shaded this way. And this way, there are 7 squares shaded out of 8. So 7/8 here. Well, I think we could see it. It's right there. Kind of an interesting question, multiplying fractions. But if you glance at the answers first, it'll help you. Okay, 18. What's the median? Median's the middle number. Now, don't think it's 12. It's not. You've got to put these numbers from smallest to biggest. Once I do that, I can see that there's 4 numbers bigger, 4 numbers smaller, 6 is in the middle. It must be letter G. Now, if there were 2 numbers in the middle, you would add them up and divide by 2. Okay, 19. We're getting there. what's the probability? So we've been doing a lot of probability. I think we actually did this one. That and if you didn't do any of the probability videos we had earlier, we did 2 of them. Go back and look at them. You'll see about maybe 6 to 7 probability questions per test. It's a good thing to learn. Okay, probably the chip is selected from a batch of 100 is type 1 and manufactured by company B. Well, I think that's this one, right? Type 1, company B. There's 30 of them. 30 out of how many chips were there total? 100. Wow. My teacher always said I had to reduce fractions. I guess I don't have to. Good. All right. Last 4 questions. A lot of wording on this one. And we're going to talk about questions like this. We'll probably do some Pythagorean theorem work coming up soon. But a question says, what is the pitch of this roof? Well, this is a right angle. And so there are these things called Pythagorean triples, like 3, 4, 5 is a triple, 8, 15, 17 is a triple, 5, 12, 13. What it's saying with, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, or this is a, this is b, and this is c. Usually on all these right triangle questions. Now, by the way, if 3, 4, 5 is a triple, I'm hoping you would agree that 6, 8, 10 would be also. Just times them all by 2. Usually, you don't have to do the Pythagorean theorem. It's gonna be one of these triples. Just make sure the hypotenuse, right, is always the biggest number. Now, right here is the triple. 5. This side here must be 12. And there's 13. What's the pitch of the roof? That's so the vertical change is 5, the horizontal change is 12. It's 5 over 12. It's letter H. Not bad. Okay, 21. Probably a question you've never been asked before. 2 different inequalities. Question wants to know, and always pay attention to words that are in italics or all capital letters, okay? What is the least value y can have? So what's the smallest it could be? Well, I'd like y to be the smallest. Well, if x plus y is greater than or equal to 4 and y is going to be the smallest, in order for, like, every time x gets bigger, y can get smaller, right? Because we're adding these up. So if y is the smallest, that means x must be the biggest it could be. What's the biggest value x could be? 2. Well, if x is 2, I think y has to be 2, right? Because 2 plus 2 is greater than or equal to 4. Quick, done. 22, we're reading along here. We see that BC is equal to 3. So I put a 3 from B to C. We're told AC and BD are both 12. So I put them down as 12. Now, one of the things you can do is like find the length of every single line segment if you're not sure what's going on. Like we know that this distance here is 3. Well, if that's 3, well, then this has to be 9, right? Because 3 plus 9 is 12. Same reason over here. Well, they want to know how far is it from A to D? How far is it from A all the way to D? Well, that'd be 9 plus the 3 plus the 9, which is letter J, 21. Not bad. Okay, last one. Keanu, maybe Keanu Reeves, I don't know who, bought a car or bought a new laptop. And yeah, it's probably Keanu for the Matrix, right? Because it's a laptop. That's funny. And paid a discount price that was 20% less than $1,000. So here's a little quick tip for you. If his discount is 20%, right? That means he's only going to be paying 80% of the laptop, right? Like 20% is free. So that means he's got to pay for 80%. And if I work that out, that's going to be $800 for the laptop. Now, Keanu, he is a movie star, but he does need to pay tax. Now, the tax on the laptop is equal to 60% of the discount price. Our discount price is $800. So if I do 6%, now remember it's 0.06, not 60, right? That's a 6, not 60 of the discounted price. That's going to be $48, which gives us a total of $848. choice C. All right. Hopefully you found these interesting and helpful to you. I do know that I definitely enjoyed working them out. And next week, I think we'll do some Pythagorean theorem work and some trigonometry work. Might be new topics for everybody. Till then, see you later.